Alright, today we're going to be looking at the Norseman from Frazetta Girls Icon Collectible line. The Norseman is the third action figure from Icon Collectibles, a company started by Frazetta Girls. The Frazetta Girls are the daughter and granddaughter of Frank Frazetta, a classic cartoonist and a fantasy artist that created many beautiful covers and comics at the same time. The Norseman is based on one of Frank Frazetta's paintings and has been given life in this action figure. Frank Frazetta was an artist for several years. He made covers for several fantasy novels, even movies and so on. In 1983, when he did Fire and Ice with Ralph Bakshi, he used many of the characters that he had painted over the years. The Norseman has been featured in some comics, but I don't recall which one they are. But this is a classic painting. This guy is almost like a mage, like a magician fighting this other world creature, but he's a Viking at the same time. What's amazing with this figure is that it's the exact same build as Dark Wolf, but because he's more exposed, there's nothing on his belt. You can see the contrapposto features of this action figure better. This is Hervé from Comic Book Bin, figurine since 2002. Give me a like and subscribe if you like this, and let's dig further into this Norseman action figure from Frank Frazetta's Frazetta Girl Icon Collectible. The Norseman is incredible. Except for his hat that keeps on falling, he comes by default with a bald head. He's got several different hair pieces, 4 in all, even though the package mentioned only 2 extra pieces. They also mentioned 2 on their website. I like this one as it leaves a space for the fur coat if he sports it. The other hair piece, with a widow's peak hairline, is pushed up by the winds. But it's very difficult to put on. There's a nudge in the bald's head sculpt, and it's very tight. Removing the hairpiece is not easy either. The other hairpiece, with a widow's peak, falls flat on his back. There is a screaming head with a widow's peak, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to put the helmet on. It's not easy, as the helmet falls off all the time. And yeah, the helmet does not stay on with the full hair on. So I'll have to use only the balding hair pieces if I want to keep the Viking helmet on. Now we know that Vikings didn't have wings like that on their helmets. This is all pure fantasy. What I really like about this figure is how he stands naturally like a real person. Look at this. It's so natural. It's quite more natural looking than, say, Khazar or even the combatant figure in the back. He's like a regular person, although he can fall too. But even when they fall, Icon Collectible figures are a bit more balanced and stable than other lines. The pose is just beautiful. What makes it work is that he can put most of his body weight on one leg, which is very difficult to do with action figures usually. That's one of the reasons he looks so natural. It gives him a lot of attitude. I used the spear to model him like the classic painting, but he also comes with 2 swords. Normally, I could insert one of the sword in a belt, but my package did not come with one. He can't carry most of his gear without that belt. It's a bummer. He comes with several hands, but again, there was an error in my package. I've got 1 set of relaxed hands here. I've got 1 pair of fists, and a second set of relaxed hands instead of grasping hands. I know that I'm missing the grasping hands, as these 2 sets are the same. Also, Dark Wolf does have a pair of grasping hands. And as you know, both figures use the same body parts, including hands. As you can see, the 2 pair of hands are the same. There are a few errors in my package, so I'll have to reach out to Frazetta Girls to get this sorted out. Now for the loincloth. He's got a different one here. To remove the loincloth, you'll have to remove the torso from the abdomen. Don't push too hard to not break the peg inside. Once the lower part is removed, you just push the loincloth up. He's naked but fully painted underneath. To put the other loincloth with a belt, you'll have to push. It's not easy at all. Make sure to unfold the peak of the shorts so they don't get stuck under the fold. I prefer the other loincloth on him, so I'll remove this one. Perhaps I'll use it on Dark Wolf instead, or future Icon Collectible figures, since most males should be using the same body. It's not as tough to put the torso back on the abdomen. This sculpt is incredible. Don't forget the necklace. I've put the fur coat on the Norseman. It's cheap fabric, but there's a plastic strap that mimics a metal chain at the neck. You can probably find more realistic fur at the hobby and craft store if you want to improve the look. As I mentioned earlier, I'm missing the belt that goes on top of the loincloth where you can store an extra sword. You'd have to put it on while the torso is off the abdomen. And now to the shield. The first thing is that you should be careful with the handles, as some reviewers have reported that they can break. The best way that I've found to put the shield on characters like War Duke, Alley Vipers, and now the Norsemen is to pull out their hands and insert the forearm inside the larger handle. In the Norseman's case, removing the wrist guard is also a good idea as it's bulgy. You can reuse the extra wrist guard on your Khazar action figure to hide the ugly seams. One good thing about these hands is that they seem to be compatible with Marvel Legends and similar scaled lines. This is how he looks with the shield. I've put the relaxed hand instead of the weapon holding one. Now the helmet falls off all the time, so I'll probably have to use blue tack to secure it. And now for the sword. The figure can grasp them well, although one of the sword has a thicker handle, the other one is thinner. He looks incredible. This is a great figure with great proportions, easy to pause. I'd like to keep the staff with him as he's part mage, part warrior. So I put the forearm only with the larger shield's handle. He can hold the staff, although the shield is now less secured on his arm. Bending the arm helps to stabilize the shield. This guy has excellent articulations. The best part of Icon Collectibles shoulder articulations are the inside socket that allow the figure to bend his arms inwards and outward without having a traditional bicep cut. It keeps the sculpt look seamless and shows off his musculature better. He only has a single articulation at the elbow. This is the most limiting part of the figure. Depending on the hands that you use, he has up and down articulations with the weapon holding hands or inside out palm articulations with others. And again, the helmet keeps on falling. Although you cannot twist the waist, the abs articulation are still remarkable. It's the other trick Frazetta Girls use to give the figure its natural stance. The torso easily rotates front, back, and sideways. It creates beautiful contrapposto. Contrapposto are old techniques used by Renaissance painters to twist the human body, giving off great perspectives. They were used a lot in Frank Frazetta's work, but also other cartoonists such as Jill Kane. The Norseman can do the split easily, but he cannot rotate his abs. He has single knee articulations. His thigh can pivot easily, again making his sculpt look seamless while giving him a lot of range. His knee can rotate, so can his elbows. But just like the elbows, the knee's range is limited. The ankle articulations are well done. It feels like there's a ratchet when he pivots them, but there aren't any. The boot cover can be removed, but we don't have bare feet that we can use with him yet. With the great ankles that support the figure's weight, well, you can pause the Norseman whichever way you want. He's very stable. This is a great figure because there's nothing obstructing his abdomen. He has more of a natural athletic build than Dark Wolf, even though they share the same body. The deco and the props make all the difference. He's a great fantasy action figure that fits with Mythic Legion, X-Race Combatant, and even Wonder Woman. If you are into fantasy action figures, or even if you're not, I recommend that you get this excellent figure if you can afford it. This figure is incredible. This is Hervé from Comic Book Bin, filling you in since 2002. Like and subscribe.